The silence in the old house was a character in itself. For Liam and Chloe, it was the sound of a new beginning, a quiet canvas on which to paint their future. They had bought the sprawling Victorian home for a steal, its only flaw being the dust of abandonment. But there was one resident who had refused to leave, a slender ginger cat they named Marmalade. The real estate agent said he was a stray who had claimed the house as his own. He was skittish and distant, but he tolerated their presence. Except for one thing, one very strange, very unnerving thing. Marmalade was obsessed with a single spot on the wall in the upstairs guest room. He wouldn't hiss, he wouldn't scratch aggressively. He would just sit there for hours on end, staring at the faded floral wallpaper. Sometimes he would let out a low, mournful meow, a sound that seemed to come from a place of deep sorrow. He'd press his head against the wall, as if listening to a secret conversation no one else could hear. At first, Liam and Chloe found it quirky. "He's probably chasing a mouse," Liam would say, trying to coax the cat away with a toy. But Marmalade was uninterested. Days turned into weeks. The couple painted the other rooms, filled the halls with laughter and the smell of fresh coffee, but the guest room remained untouched, held hostage by the cat's silent vigil. The atmosphere in that room began to feel heavy, charged with an unspoken history. Chloe started to get spooked. "It's not normal, Liam. He looks haunted." The breaking point came one stormy Tuesday night. The wind howled outside, rattling the window panes. In the midst of the gale, Marmalade's behavior escalated. He began to paw frantically at the wall, his claws tearing thin strips of the old paper. His meows were no longer mournful. They were desperate, pleading. It was a sound of pure distress that cut through the noise of the storm and straight into Chloe's heart. She looked at Liam, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and determination. "There's something in there. I can feel it." Liam, a rational man, was skeptical. "It's probably just a draft or a rodent nest. We'll call pest control in the morning." But Chloe couldn't wait. She saw the raw, desperate intelligence in the cat's eyes. It wasn't just instinct, it was a message. "No," she said, her voice firm. "We're doing this now." Armed with a crowbar and a hammer, Liam hesitated. It felt insane, tearing a hole in the wall of their new home because a cat was acting weird. But looking at Marmalade, who was now rubbing against Chloe's legs, looking back and forth between her and the wall, he felt a strange conviction. The cat knew something. He took a deep breath and swung the hammer. The plaster cracked, then crumbled, sending a puff of ancient dust into the air. With a few more strikes, a small hole appeared. Liam shone a flashlight inside. Nothing but darkness and insulation. "See? Nothing." But Marmalade rushed forward, sniffing at the opening, his meows growing more insistent. He pushed his paw inside, trying to reach for something. "Go bigger," Chloe urged. Liam widened the hole. This time his crowbar hit something solid. Not a pipe, not a stud. It was a hollow, metallic sound. Carefully, he pulled away more plaster and lath, and then they saw it. Tucked deep within the wall cavity was a small tin box, rusted at the hinges. Their hearts pounded in their chests. The air grew still, the storm outside seeming to fade away. With trembling hands, Liam pulled the box out. It was surprisingly heavy. He pried open the lid. Inside, nestled on a bed of faded velvet, was not treasure or gold, but a collection of memories. A stack of letters tied with a silk ribbon, a single child-sized leather shoe, and a small, leather-bound diary. Chloe gently lifted the diary. The ink was faded, the handwriting elegant and precise. It was dated 1952. As she read the first page aloud, the story of the house's previous occupant, a woman named Elara, began to unfold. She wrote of her deep love for her daughter, Lily, a bright, cheerful child. and she wrote of her cat, a ginger Tom named Sunny. The diary entries turned from joyful to heartbreaking. Lily had fallen gravely ill. The entries described Ilara's desperate prayers, her sleepless nights, and the way her cat, Sunny, would sit by Lily's bed, refusing to leave her side. The final tear-stained entry described Lily's passing in that very room. Overcome with grief, Ilara had hidden away these most precious mementos of her daughter in the wall, a secret tomb of memories, before selling the house and disappearing. The last line read, "May her spirit find peace." Sunny still waits for her by the wall, listening for a laugh that will never come again. Liam and Chloe stood in stunned silence, tears streaming down their faces. They looked at Marmalade, who was now calmly curled up on the floor, purring softly. He was the same color, the same breed as the cat from the diary. It was impossible, and yet it felt true. He had not been guarding a secret, but a memory. He had been carrying the torch of a love that transcended time, waiting for someone to finally understand. The heavy feeling in the room was not a haunting. It was the lingering weight of unanswered grief. They gave Lily and Ilara the memorial they never had, sharing their story with the local historical society. The guest room was finally painted, no longer a place of sorrow, but a room filled with light and respect for the past. Marmalade never stared at the wall again. He became a true member of the family, a loving, affectionate cat, his long vigil finally over. Sometimes the walls we build to hide our deepest pain don't need to be torn down by force, but opened with compassion. And sometimes the quietest guardians carry the most profound love, waiting patiently across the years for a heart willing to listen.